Hi, my name is Thomas Conrad, and this is my presentation for Building Analysis Part C, and this is my model of the Crystal Palace 2. So history has had some great architecture in the past, but one of the very important time periods was called the Industrial Revolution. The US and Europe led this era and began to expand their horizons in manufacturing, making machines, buildings, and production much easier, and turning them toward innovation in building materials. One of the main materials becoming a favorite for building was iron and steel. With innovations in the manufacturing process of these two materials, buildings could be made much taller, sturdier, and sturdier than previously, and for a much cheaper price. The building I will be presenting to you today is a prime example and representative of this time period, and being one of the largest and most breathtaking of its kind ever built. The building I have chosen to research is the Crystal Palace 2, a massive cast iron and glass building built and completed in 1851 at Hyde Park in London. This incredible building was drafted by the famous architect Joseph Paxton, an English gardener who was a pioneer in the building of structures of large glass paneling and iron frameworks used in greenhouses. The building was a marvel of its kind, built specifically for the purpose of displaying the technology and of the Industrial Revolution, with the building itself among the items in it. The building is 1,848 feet long, 408 feet wide, in 990,000 square feet. It was among the first to be built in this fashion, with massive glass panels up to 8 feet wide and 32 feet tall, which most of the building is made up of. This design, utilizing the large glass panels, gave the building the resemblance of transparency and open air, like his many greenhouse designs, which were all held together by a beautifully crafted framework of cast iron. The massive arches and rows of tall rising columns also were made of cast iron thanks to the Industrial Revolution, which made it an affordable material and much easier to obtain and manufacture. The one eye catcher, however, has to be the many sections of the arched dome roof of the structure that hovered over much of the building. These domed arches reached heights of 128 feet. The roof was even made safe from buildup of rainwater thanks to the design of the angled paneling, which allowed the water to run off into its own form of guttering system. The total cost of the building was about £2 million, which is around £280 million in 2019, or about $357 million in the US due to inflation. The building stood in Hyde Park for a short time, being it was originally only built for the Great Exhibition of 1851, which ran from May to October. After the event concluded, it took some time to decide what would become of the building. It was decided in 1854 to move the building to a different location called Sydenham Hill in southeast London. There it stood for 82 years, hosting many different events from circuses to wartime training, but unfortunately, the building cannot be seen today due to its unfortunate destruction by a fire in November of 1936 after an apparent explosion in a women's cloakroom. There is, however, a museum located at Anerley Hill in London, housed within the only surviving building made by the Crystal Palace Company. The model I have constructed of this building is about a 1 to 195 scale size of the original main building. I chose to showcase the principal entrance of the building itself, as it has what I believe the most important and eye-catching pieces of the structure. Of our material options, I decided to use foam board and poster paper, as it seemed to be the best way to stand up and showcase its very symmetrical shape and was the easiest to work with cutting out and drawing. The palace itself is constructed of mostly glass paneling, totaling almost 300,000 panels. The intricate work on the beautiful cast iron framework and columns was used to surround these glass panels. Being the structure was made up mostly of the glass panels, I decided that if I were to cut out all the glass, I wouldn't have enough of the structure left of the foam board to give the model strength it needed on its own. I did, however, draw as much of the detail of the cast iron framework that truly makes the building the wonderful piece that it is, considering the small scale of such a large building. While there are many buildings now that have much of the same architecture or use nearly the same kind of materials in them, the Crystal Palace 2 was one of the pinnacles of its era, and one of the first of its kind. It is unfortunate that we cannot visit the building today due to the loss by the explosion, nor the many photos, plans, or drawings of the building. In closing, this truly was a masterpiece of a building, and I wish more buildings these days would incorporate the type of design and architecture of this style from the Industrial Revolution. Thank you for listening to my speech.